A very warm welcome to you, and thank you so much for joining our Homeopathy 24/7 podcast. We are going to be speaking to an array of international guests who will share their knowledge and experiences of homeopathy with you. We will discuss all types of subjects such as remedies, symptoms, and stories of health. No matter where you are with your homeopathic journey, we aim to inspire you on your quest to natural health and living. The podcast is brought to you by Mary Greensmith, the founder of Homeopathy 24/7, which is a global platform connecting you with a homeopath wherever you are in the world, 24 hours a day. So let's get started with today's chat. Please welcome Mary Greensmith.
I am so pleased to welcome Dr. Varsha M. Khurana. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Pleasure is all mine, Mary, as usual.
It's just so fantastic that I get to work with so many beautiful, experienced homeopaths around the world. And you definitely fall into this category. Tell me a little bit about why you're a homeopath and why you chose this way of life.
Okay, it basically comes to me from my family, as I grew up in a joint family, and my grandfather really encouraged the use of homeopathy. He was a very, very wise man. I always thought that he was, his thought process was much beyond his times. He would encourage us, I'm talking about 50, 60 years back, like he grew up in that time. And then for all of us, he would actually, and especially the girls, because we are an underdeveloped nation, as you know, so he would specially tell us that there is no need to settle down unless and until you are financially independent. That is the kind of thought process he had at that time, which was, so to speak, quite rare, in our country. And that is the kind of mindset I grew up with. And at the same time, he was an avid follower of homeopathy. He used it for himself, his own personal health issues that he had. So it really encouraged me to follow this path.
Fantastic. And of course, in India, homeopathy is quite popular, isn't it? A lot of people know about it and use it. Why is that?
I feel that homeopathy came to us much earlier than most nations, and it's supposed to be very widespread here. We have a lot of charitable clinics. We have the number of homeopaths itself is quite high here as compared to anywhere else in the world. We have dedicated hospitals and colleges in every city. I think in India we have, and this is like it's a medical course. We are supposed to be medically trained doctors in order to practice homeopathy. So I think these are some basic differences, but at the same time, it is very approachable. I mean, all these homeopaths are practicing everywhere, let's say. So it's very practical for everybody. And also it was always advertised as a low cost option, for medical care. So I think it just kept becoming more and more popular like that.
Okay. And this means, of course, this results in the homeopaths being so much more experienced in homeopathy. And I know that you get to know the repertoire and the materia medica because you just learn it so deeply.
You just have to. There is no other way. Is there another way to practice? So I think for us, it's like once we all graduate, it's an unsaid rule that we go into these charitable clinics every week for a few hours, and we practice pro bono. We practice charity free treatment in these clinics, through these clinics, basically, at least in the initial years of our after our graduation. So even I did that. So obviously the footfall of patients itself at those clinics is much higher than any private clinic, and so the exposure, the number of patients that you see on a daily basis, it all really increases, and it adds to your general experience as a practitioner.
Absolutely, gosh, and it's so different than in the Western world, if you like. The fact that you've got homeopathic doctors working in hospitals, you've got homeopathic hospitals, and you've got such a wide setup. So it's so different than what we know. But obviously, you are now helping sharing the knowledge around the world. Tell me a little bit about what you love about homeopathy.
Oh, I don't know where to start. It's what's not to love. It's just such a beautiful therapy. And I feel from the time I started practicing until now, it's like it amazes me every day, and that is what I love. It's something or the other, new experiences with patients, and there are cases. I'm sure all homeopaths will agree to this, that there are cases where we ourselves go, really? I mean, did that medicine have that profound an effect on the patient? That kind of moments, they're always there in our therapy. And I think I love that experience, that new experience that keeps coming our way.
Fantastic. Varsha, what's your favorite remedy?
That's really difficult to say, Mary, but for this, the video that we're recording, I thought about it as you had asked me, and I think I'll go with Carcinosin.
Oh, I'm a great lover of Carcinosin. Tell me a little bit about it.
Can I tell you a little bit about a patient, and then maybe go into Carcinosin itself later? So I think my first experience with Carcinosin as one of the most profound remedies from our Materia Medica was with this particular male patient who came to me in mid-30s. He was about 33, 34 years old when he came to me, and he probably lives in the most posh area in Delhi, and very well-to-do family, and etc., doing very well in life, business-wise and everything. But as we got into the consultation, we started talking about his history. He started opening up about his childhood, and it was shocking, to say the least, for me, even as a practitioner, because he told me things like that he was beaten up as a child by his father. He was mentally, emotionally abused by his father for at least physical abuse at least for 10 years, and mental emotional abuse until today. So, and then there were all these physical symptoms that were stemming from that background, that there was severe anxiety, breathing issues, sleep was all over the place, like he couldn't sleep profoundly. He said that I don't remember when last I had a good night's sleep, that kind of headaches and whatnot, stomach pain, flatulence, stool was dissatisfactory, like all sorts of physical symptoms all over the place. And I remember him telling me that a severe kind of an inferiority complex is what he suffered from. He had no friends growing up. He could not make any friends because of the severe, lack of confidence that he suffered from because of that abuse that he was coming from. The father was so controlling that he would actually lock him up after beating him up in a room and not let him venture out of that room at all for days, sometimes 3 to 4 days. He said, I have been locked in a room because my father was just angry at me because of some trifling act of mine. Severe fear of dark, severe, anger issues also. So what I'm trying to say here is that it was a case that looked like a typical mental emotional case leading to the physical issues. And I analyzed this case, as I always do, as all of us do, through my repertoire, through my Materia Medica. And I ended up prescribing a dose of Carcinosin to begin with. And let's say this was in June that I prescribed him a dose of Carcinosin 10 mg. I went high in the first prescription, which I frankly not do. I usually don't do that, but I did because I was very, very sure that I need to start here and then go from here.
Yeah.
And within a month, I think a month and 10 days, he came back to me. In fact, his wife and him both came back to me, all excited about how he feels like he's a changed man. So he said, these are his words, that I don't know what is happening to me. I come back home in the evening after that day's work, and I'm in such good mood that I want to have a drink and I just want to dance with my wife. And his sleep was better. He said, I had not slept like this in the last 20 years probably. And how is this happening in just 1 month? The anger issues were better, the anxiety was better, just in 1 month, 10 days. So it was that moment, what you want as a homeopath, what you want to see as a homeopath, that, a remedy having that kind of an effect only in a month, in 20 years long history that you have just, analyzed. And you think, and you tell your patients that it'll take time. It'll take 6 months at least. It'll take 8 months. Please don't expect a miracle. Please don't expect much from the first prescription. We always say that because it doesn't happen in every case. But at the same time, we are also excited when this happens, from a remedy. And I think that's why I'm saying that then I started having these kind of experiences with Carcinosin a lot in my practice after this initial case that, I got this result from. And I have been prescribing Carcinosin, I would say, quite confidently after that. And I went into a deep study as well, I went into a deep study of Carcinosin itself, again from the Materia Medica, again from the repertory, so that I wanted to really learn this remedy, in every way possible, because our remedies are so diverse. So I wanted to really dig deep and, use this remedy, because I realized that, it is like years of therapy done in a month.
Yes.
So that is something so exciting about homeopathy, I feel.
It is such, and Carcinosin is such a deep remedy, isn't it? To be able to go back and take away that emotion that people have been harboring for such a long time. I know for myself, it was a huge life changer, as opposed to about, guilt of everything I do. What would my mother think about this? And that we're always looking back to how would somebody else react. Then, it's such a magical remedy. Tell us a little bit more about it. What else did you find on your research?
Okay, so I will go into a bit of a deeper study of Carcinosin. I'll keep it short for everyone so that you don't get bored with it. But still, so there are direct references to abuse in this remedy, in our Materia Medica and repertory both. So this is abuse. Sexual abuse is also one of the something in the background for Carcinosin. A lot of violence. When a child experiences a lot of violence, it could be just simple. He's not the direct object of violence, but it's happening around him, during his childhood. So even that is there in the background of Carcinosin. So that kind of a mental makeup growing up. So that is really important for indication of this remedy. Now, this remedy, basically, there is a lot of anticipation in this remedy. A lot of deep-seated anxiety, which is again stemming from all of this that happened in a patient's childhood, basically. And these children, I've seen they are so sensitive, and I'm prescribing Carcinosin in the case of a child also. They are super sensitive to what is happening around them. There is a deep love for nature. There's a deep love for animals. This kind of a mental makeup is there, usually there. I'm not saying it's 100%, but it's usually there in these children. And then there is, all of this anger that is built up inside them, leading to a lot of breathing issues. So there is a direct rubric saying that anger with asthmatic complaints.
Yes.
So again, so there's again a physical complaint coming from the mind. So carcinosin is again indicated in that kind of a situation. Of course, we all, I think, whoever has read carcinosin knows that when there is a history of cancer in the patient's family, we directly think of this remedy as well as an intercurrent remedy that can help, that can clear a particular layer of symptoms in a patient. But more or less, I would say that I usually don't go by that in all of my cases. When I just find, because cancer is so rampant now, it's like, almost 30 to 40% of our cases, we get that in the family history, which is very sad, but it has started happening. So I would not just, use the remedy on that indication alone. But yes, that is one of the things. Also, this patient is very benevolent. He wants to really help others. And I'm just talking about, there are a lot of positive traits, positive personality traits in a carcinosin patient, is what I want to say. And sensitivity in the sense that, they're looking for appreciation, because that is something they didn't get as a child. It was really lacking. And they're looking for, they're looking for kind words. And, kind words, they really move them.
Yeah.
So they are touched easily. That's what I said. They're very sensitive. A very simple thing I would say, which has led, just due to my experience, I have experienced that parents come to us a lot, and then, some parents directly say that this is a completely sorry baby. They are saying sorry for every little thing. Like, even a little, like if something is just spilled on the table, oh, sorry, I'm so sorry, mom.
Yeah.
They are very quick to apologize.
Yeah.
And that is a very typical carcinosin trait.
Okay.
So practically I'm saying that is something I've seen. It's not mentioned anywhere, but I've seen that in these children being really sensitive, and those sorry children that, they're very quick to apologize. Even if it's not their fault, they would, still quickly apologize in a particular minor situation also. Then they are very, very sensitive to cruelty around them. They can actually cry when they are just watching a movie, So that is again a carcinosin trait. One of the remedies, I would say.
You mean that's not normal?
No, that's not. That doesn't happen with everyone. But you are relating to it, so I'm getting an idea about you now. So extremely sensitive, even at watching television, at cinema, they are very sensitive. So they cannot see a lot of bloodshed around them. If some violent sitcom is playing or a movie in front of them, they are again very sensitive to that. There is a sensation as an adult. I think there is more of a feeling that they have sacrificed their life, or they have sacrificed a lot in their life. That kind of a background, mental background that they are coming from. And then there is extreme sense of responsibility. Yeah. That is something that is again a very typical carcinosin trait. That they and something that practically also happens a lot in our country, at least, that the child is taking a lot of responsibility even at an early age. So that kind of a child, we can think of carcinosin. I want to say one more thing. So there are precocious children, right? We always talk about precocious children. So these are very mentally precocious children, carcinosin typically. So we would think that when they talk, they are talking like a mature individual. They are not talking like a child, or 5 or 6 year old or 7-year-old child. They are actually talking like 10 years ahead of their age. And this is I was kind of realizing that when I was studying it, and then I even found a rubric for it in the Materia Medica. So this is precocity in speech.
Okay.
Right? And there are only 2 remedies there. One is carcinosin and one is strophanthus. And I've used strophanthus as well, by the way. It's such a small remedy, but again, amazing remedy when you get this rubric. So when they are talking, and these are things that actually parents would mention to you during an interview. That they talk like adults. They don't talk like children. So that's again a very carcinosin and this other remedy that is also covering this particular trait. So also they come from a lot of fear. So there are multiple fears in a carcinosin personality, but the main fear is a fear of failure.
Okay.
They feel that they are failing at life itself.
Mm-hmm.
That is the main fear. Because of that, I don't know if I can relate it in every case to that background, but still that fear is always there. What else should I?
It makes sense, doesn't it? I was just thinking that it's often indicated with people that have almost missed out on their childhood, haven't they? Because they've been so responsible, or because of the way that they have been brought up. So they've almost missed being a child. And as you say, they're talking like an adult. They're already doing things, being responsible from a very early age. But what's amazing about this remedy is that we're using it as a miasmatic remedy, we're using it as a constitutional remedy, we're using it as an intercurrent remedy, and even a first aid remedy when we come to have a physical symptom as well. So it's such a diverse remedy, isn't it?
Extremely. And you know what you just said, that they have missed out on their childhood. Should I point out there is a rubric for that? Ailments from lack of opportunities to realize his abilities.
Oh, okay. Okay.
That is carcinosin as well. So your understanding is just apt as well. It's absolutely what you said, that they have completely missed out on that childhood that they deserved, and that is where the problems are actually coming from. I think there are other, and one more thing I would want to just add here. Although this case that I already talked about is from is from Delhi, this person, but when I started practicing more internationally, I felt that carcinosin was coming much more indicated in patients from the West somehow.
Exactly. Well, when we were in college learning about homeopathy, we talked a lot about the Western world being a cancerous world. It's very much, growing. It's like that cancer growing throughout different societies, and the way we're looking at life, what we're expecting of life is all, it's filtration, isn't it, throughout the world. So there's a lot to discuss with cancer around the world, and certainly we do see it so much. But let's just have a quick point about why carcinosin isn't included in first aid kits, why it is a remedy that we go to a homeopath for, because obviously home prescribing is all about dealing with the symptoms that are being presented now, and carcinosin is very much a remedy about the past, isn't it, and about emotions that we need to sit down with somebody and understand the consequence of the past in order to benefit from the remedy.
I have to admit that I have personally not used carcinosin a lot in acute prescribing.
No.
I try to, because see, in an acute, when we are just dealing with those symptoms, I try to refrain from using extremely deep acting remedies somehow. I think consciously try to do that.
Yeah.
So maybe in some instances it was required, as you said, that you have used it, but I still avoided it because I just feel that I need to know a little bit more about this patient before I actually prescribe that kind of such a deep acting remedy. So that is just one thing, and also these remedies that are no-sodes, so-called no-sodes in our materia medica, I feel we need to be a little bit more careful around them.
Yes.
And we can't just so even if I'm prescribing carcinosin, I would really limit the dosage.
Yes.
And when I'm prescribing it and I'm sending out a prescription that is going to a pharmacy, I just mention 2 doses or 4 doses, or I never say please get 1 gram, because I just feel that even as an accident, I don't want anyone overdoing this remedy as a drug dosage, because it can have its own repercussions. So we need to be a little more careful, with these remedies.
I think you're absolutely right. And it is so easy for people to misinterpret the prescription when they are receiving a whole bottle. Of course, when homeopaths, we used to seeing people face to face, we would just give them the 4 pills that they need. And quite often in my prescription email, I have to write, you're just going to take 1 of these pills. Yes, I do mean only 1. And it's not to be repeated until we speak again. So it is we're so used in the Western world to having remedies again and again and again. And this is a remedy that does not work for. You wouldn't ever take it repetitively.
Yes, except in the LM potency. If I'm using LM, then I'm probably repeating it in the LM potency. But again, a 200 or 1M, I have to always say this is only for 1 day. Yes. Because, sometimes patients just think that I prescribed it once a day for the month. No, it's not like that. So, you have to be very specific with these things somehow. And it's sometimes, especially for people who are new to homeopathy, it's difficult for them to understand that. And I relate to that, they might think that just 2 pills, what is this going to do? But we just have to show them the effect for them to really realize that, even 1 dose is sufficient for a month sometimes.
Absolutely. And I would even go further with carcinosin. I would say that 1 dose, that is 1 pill, will still be affecting your body in 6 months' time and still be helping your body emotionally as well to create a new way of thinking. It carries on improving and improving your whole status. So please, everybody listening, understand that this is a remedy that is used just as Hahnemann wanted. Very, very, very small dose. That isn't repeated very often. You often only need 1 tablet and that is enough to create change, because of course this is what homeopathy does. It is helping your body learn a new way to react. That's emotionally and physically. So we don't want to be kicking the body. We don't keep wanting new changes. We want the body now to learn the new change and to keep the new change and to maintain that change. So that is another reason why we work, with somebody experienced in homeopathy to make sure that you're understanding exactly the way of prescribing, but such a beautiful remedy. Thank you so much, Varsha, for explaining this in a little bit more detail for us.
You helped me profoundly as well, so I'm glad I'm here talking to you, and I just hope I did a bit of justice, to what all this remedy can actually achieve in a patient.
It's been absolutely lovely talking to you, Dr. Varsha M. Khurana. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Mary. Thank you.
Thank you, Varsha. That was absolutely lovely speaking to you. It's always such a pleasure and so interesting. Your mind is just so full of beautiful information. I do hope you all enjoyed speaking with Dr. Varsha M. Khurana. Next week, I will be talking to you about gout and the remedy colchicine, and we'll see how that is really, really useful if you know anybody who has flares of gout. I look forward to seeing you then.
We hope you enjoyed today's episode and look forward to listening to our next one. Please don't forget to follow our podcast on your chosen channel, and please do leave us a review so we can continue to share homeopathy with as many people as possible. If you do have any questions, please do reach out to us on any of our social platforms mentioned in the show notes. We at Homeopathy 24/7 hope to empower you on your natural health journey.